If you are a Christian entrepreneur and you're not truly inspired by your purpose, or if you're not even 100% sure what your purpose from God even is, you do know that you were created for a more meaningful life. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 principles that will have a huge impact on your life's purpose, how to live out your unique purpose if you have a hectic schedule, and exactly why it's critically important that as long as you have breath, that you don't give up hope on God's unique purpose for you. Hi, my name is George, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I help entrepreneurial and ministry-minded Christian men lead a thriving and missional life. And before we get any further into this video, I just want to address the elephant in the room about this topic, and that is this. As a Christian business owner, entrepreneur, your purpose is not to just give money to the church. And let's be honest, some years you might have a lot of extra money to give, and other years, things can be lean and you might not have that extra funds to give the way that you want to. Unfortunately, some people do teach that the primary purpose of Christian business owners is to just give money. But the reality is that that kind of thinking will only hold you back from living out your full purpose. And here's why. First off, God doesn't need your money. After you're dead, you're not going to be in front of your Creator, pulling out extra cash and trying to buy the phrase,
"Well done, good and faithful servant."
You can't do that. None of us could do that. God doesn't need our money. He could have His will be done with or without it. Now, sorry to burst your bubble. I know that it feels good to be needed. And you might be thinking, well, if God doesn't need my financial success, if He doesn't need my finances, what use do I have? What use am I? I'm glad you asked. Your true purpose as a Christian male entrepreneur is to give everything that God has given you. And I'm going to use this lemon to show you 3 elements of your purpose that you need to know about so you don't miss your call. Now, imagine you go to the grocery store and you buy this lemon, then you cut it, you squeeze it, but lemon juice doesn't come out. Maybe it's something gross like prune juice comes out, which that'd actually be impressive, but ultimately that'd be gross. Like that's not the purpose of the lemon. Or let's say you cut it, but it's so dry that you can't really get any good juice out. If good lemon juice doesn't come out of here, you would say that this lemon isn't meeting its intended purpose. Your life is similar to this lemon. We're going to be guaranteed that life is going to squeeze us. Even though we can't control the fact that we're going to be squeezed, we do have control over what comes out. Like our purpose is like the juice inside the lemon, and that if we fix the inside right, then our purpose will naturally come out of us when life squeezes us. I like to think of our purpose in 3 timeless elements. First would be our core values. The second would be the talents and abilities that God has given us. And 3 would be the life message that God has given you. I want to talk about the third part, the life message. The Apostle Paul, he talks about in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 about being living epistles. Now, your life message, it's what people learn about just by looking at your life. It's something that you embody. It's a message that God puts inside of you to give to this world. And the best way to discover what your particular life message, ask yourself this question. What's the major themes of transformation that God has done in my life? Or this one, what's the message that I want my loved ones in the world to know? You don't need a complicated life message, but what makes your purpose unique is no one else is going to have the unique core values that you have, the same talents and skills that you have, and nobody has the life message and the history that you have with God. And with those 3 elements, that's what gives you your unique purpose. So you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I know that I have a unique purpose. Now what do I do? So if you want to live out your unique purpose starting tomorrow and for the rest of your life, then you need to be like this glass of milk. I know it's a lot of food references. Sorry, it's kind of cheesy. Okay, I promise that's my last one. But here's what I mean. I remember growing up, and I remember being excited to go to the Six Flags Magic Mountain amusement park because they had Dippin' Dots there. And you couldn't just get Dippin' Dots in the grocery store. I think you could now. Back in my day, You can only get Dippin' Dots at the theme park. You know, what's interesting with milk is every time mankind has come up with some new way to make food. You know, you take milk, you throw it in the fire, and now you have melted cheese. Or, you know, you invent a butter churner, now you have butter. You know, we invented ice cream, and all the way to, oh, we have a flash freeze, let's invent Dippin' Dots. But milk is this perfect blend of protein, fat, and carbs, core values, life message, talents, that all you have to do is be like milk and contextualize your purpose to whatever situation you are already in. And here's 2 simple ways. You could just ask yourself, how would a person with these values approach insert situation? Or how can I use my gifts and skills of this to help that scenario? Or even, how can I live my life message where the people that I'm encountering today are going to receive that message? That's one thing that you could do, is ask yourself those questions on a daily basis. Another pro tip that you could do, that I like to do, is print my purpose, screenshot it, save it on your phone, hang it up in your office. But if you just get a chance to read it a couple times a week, that will help you be more conscious of it and intentionally wake up every day knowing that whatever today holds, whether it's easy, hard, whether it's something that you want to do or something you don't want to do, that you're going to get a chance to live out your unique purpose. And in case you haven't fully convinced yourself that it is super important for you to live out your unique purpose, I got to show you my jar of nickels that I have. Now you might be thinking, George, where'd you get a jar of nickels? Nobody uses cash today. Well, I'll answer that another day. But in short, what I do want to tell you is I have so many nickels because every time I tell my wife something, I give her some advice, and she doesn't really listen. It's about the next day, somebody else tells her the exact same thing. And she comes to me and she says, wow, somebody said this, and that's such a good idea. And I say, if I had a nickel for every time my wife listened to my advice, but only after it came from somebody else, I would have a jar of nickels. And that's my story. But that's exactly why you need to live out your unique purpose. Because if you're a young man, and if you see, you know, let's say you're a pastor, you're a priest who is loving God and living a life that's righteous and experiencing God's joy, well then, as a young person, you might just be thinking, well, that's because they're a professional. But if that same young person, they see you living out your purpose, living with your values, using your gifts to really solve problems and serve people, and living out a life message, being filled with God's joy, loving Him sincerely, then they're going to be impacted more by your life and how you live out your purpose than by hearing it from the church pulpit. And so that's why it's important that you live out your life message, because, well, it's what God gave you. And He really does want everything, and not just your money, but everything. He wants you to use it to glorify Him. And it's the only way that we're going to feel fully alive, is when we fully engage with the purpose that He places inside each one of us, inside you. So now that you know the 3 core elements of purpose and what it is that you uniquely have to offer, I just got to tell you, it will be impossible to sustain that purpose without having the spiritual energy that you need every day just to stay inspired. So watch this next video right here and learn some practical biblical tips on how to increase and sustain your spiritual energy throughout the day.